How you guys doing over there? Jason over here at Cogkill. I'm doing wonderful, and today we are in the garden, and I want to touch on a subject that I get asked a lot about, and that is insecticides, fungicides, and fertilizers, and what I do in my vegetable garden. Peachy, Peachy, I'm gonna need some help spraying the garden with our organic spray. Can I count on you to help me, girl? Come on, Peaches, you don't have nothing else to do. What's up, guys? Jason over here at Cogkill. Let's get into the garden and let's spray and fertilize, shall we? Let's talk fertilizer. If you missed the video when I planted everything, I use a slow released organic fertilizer, and I'm not partial to anything. But I will tell you, this year my garden looks awesome, and I did use Eco Scraps, and I'm not sponsored by these guys or anything like that. I just buy what's on clearance at the end of the growing season, and I'll just hoard up on all this stuff. If it's 20 bags on sale, I usually buy all 20 bags. And last year was Eco Scraps, and this is a 546, and this is what I use. Now, throughout the growing season, I'll do two things. Right now, I'm really loving the fish and guano fertilizer, and this comes from Hoss Tool Company. And I'll put a link down to their site if you're interested in going checking those guys out. That's what I'm using here for a pour. You could even use this for a foliage, drench or spray if you wanted to. But I will say this, it's not the best smelling thing in the world. Any type of fish emulsion fertilizer does not smell well. I'm just gonna tell you and be honest with you. It stinks. Any of these type of organic fertilizers generally are a slow type fertilizer, and I'm not saying it's gonna take 3 months for them to get this in their system. It's not gonna be like a Miracle Grow or something like that that's synthetic. That you put Miracle Grow or that type of fertilizer on something, it's gonna get to it pretty darn fast. These organic fertilizers are generally just a slower process, and it's just always typically a lower number, so it's not gonna give you that huge punch as say like a 20-20-20 or triple 13 or something like that. Now, what I'll do is every week I'll try to fertilize with this. Then maybe about on the 3rd week, I'll put this out and water it in real good. Another thing that I like to do is I do like to feed the soil, and I will use a molasses mix. Over the last few years, I've gotten real lucky, and I've gotten some on sale that are already pre-mixed that you just hook to a water hose and spray. If not, you can dilute molasses with water, do a foliage spray. You really want to do is you want to get that molasses in the ground, because the sugar in the molasses feed the micronutrients in the soil, and so that's why I like to use the molasses. That's what I do fertilizing wise. Also, as for fertilizers, I dump a lot of manures in here, a lot of compost, especially with the rabbits right now and the goats and the chickens. I got a lot of manures I can put in here. Also, the cover crops I plant, I try to get cover crops that are usually nitrogen amenders, and I'll plant a bunch of those as well. So not only am I putting this organic fertilizer, I've also been conditioning my soil throughout the year. So how do I keep pests out of my garden? Well, first things first is one of the best ways, and maybe the best way is to have really super healthy plants. I can't stress that enough. If your plants are really healthy, that's gonna help out big time when it comes to pests. Pests are gonna attack the weakest link in your garden. I really can't stress that enough. What I like to use here is I use kind of a combination of things. Listening to the guys over there at Hoss Tool, over there, Greg and Travis, I don't think I may have been spraying enough. I may spray right off the bat early, maybe a few weeks, spray again. If I saw something, spray. But according to them, they spray on a schedule, and they spray once a week, and it's all organic. Here are the things that I do for pesticides. Y'all heard me talk about this before in the past, and that is dipel dust. It really works well on caterpillars and worms. If you have a hornworm problem on your tomatoes, dipel dust will take care of it. But it strictly, or mainly really does, is take care of worms and caterpillars. I've been using dipel for a while now. The downside of dipel is it is a dust, so you really need to wear a mask for one, and when it rains, it's probably gone, so you have to reapply. Other thing that I like to use is pyrethrin. Now, this also is an all-natural thing, and pyrethrin comes from chrysanthemums. It's a chemical part of the plant that will kill insects, and this stuff is good. I mean, this stuff's even, people even use this for, and it says here on the bottle, you know, ticks and fleas. This is a general purpose insecticide. The other one I like to use is just BT. BT is kind of like the dipel. It's going to take care of worms and caterpillars more so than anything else. The pyrethrin is going to take care of your beetles, your flying insects. That's why I like to rotate. 1 week I may spray everything with pyrethrin, then the next week I'll come back and I'll use the BT. I'm just using a regular pump up sprayer. I'm spraying everything. I'm reading the directions, and what I like to do is I like to write, once I figure out what it is per gallon, because my garden's small, usually a gallon or two will take care of everything here in my garden. I'll write on the bottle of what it is, and I'll write it in a couple of spots in case it tries to rub off. For the Monterey BT, I got 4 teaspoons per gallon written on here, so I don't have to look it up every time. Now, another thing that I do that helps with insects and fungicides, and that is neem oil. This is a broad spectrum and fungicide and insecticide. So neem oil really works well, especially with aphids. If you have an issue with aphids, neem oil will take care of it. Now, another thing that will work with aphids, and I've seen it with myself, is the homemade insecticide soap. Homemade insecticidal soaps work really well for aphids. But that's all I've really seen the soaps work well for me. That's just been my experience. Another fungicide that I like to use is General O Copper. This is another fungicide, and I'm doing the same thing that I'm doing with the insecticides. I'm rotating my 2 fungicides out. So 1 week I'm spraying BT and copper on everything. The next week I'm spraying the pyrethrin and the neem oil on everything. So that's how I'm handling insects this year, and so far it's working. I haven't had any issues at all. So far so good, knock on wood, everything's lovely. Another thing that I would stress and recommend is I don't do, it's bright sun right now, I usually don't fertilize or spray until late in the evening. Number one is most of your beneficial insects are up, and most of this stuff does not hurt beneficial insects, but I do spray in the evening. That's a lot less stress on your plants, and it's a lot less stress on beneficial insects, just in case. Now I got a mess of stuff I gotta pick. So let's get to picking. Y'all saw my last video about those rattlesnake pole beans, and guess what? We got a mess more to pick. And it's still putting on blooms. This thing's still putting on blooms. I don't know how many pickings I'm gonna get out of these pole beans, but it is awesome. Squash ready. And something cool we've been doing with squash this year, and that is squash relish. I'm gonna make a video on how we make that, hopefully this week, so y'all stay tuned for that, because let me tell y'all something. If you like chow chow, or you like sauerkraut, or you like that kind of thing, this squash relish is the bomb diggity. And check out the butternut squash. And it's like that everywhere, and it's growing okay up my trellis. And it's growing on the ground too. I'm just kind of watching it, kind of making it go where I want it to go. But the butternut squash looks pretty darn awesome. I must say, these tomatoes though, I'm so excited about. there are, I mean, just buds and tomatoes everywhere right now. I mean, everywhere. But I want to show y'all these sun golds. Look, look at that. Oh my gracious. And they are slab loaded with tomatoes. I mean, loaded to the hill. Oh my, this one's falling down. I gotta tie it up. I need to tie all the tomatoes up. So the garden is looking awesome. I think the spraying, because generally, let me get out of the sun so y'all can halfway see me. Halfway see me. Now, got a little shade here. Because generally, I usually have some sort of pest by now. Hornworms typically. I'll get stink bugs too. But knock on wood, I think that the rotational spraying that I'm doing, and I'm doing it weekly, is working. I really, really do. Hey guys, if you want to see how I planted this garden, check out this video right over here. If you're interested in any new Kahkia farm gear like this Turn Up the Beat shirt, check out this link right here. And if you're new to the channel, like what you see, because we would love to have you. Hit that subscribe button right down below and click that bell for notifications. And as always, y'all be good.